If you're new to fishing and just picked up a Rapala Original Floating Minnow F-11, you've got one of the most iconic lures in the sport. This little bait has been fooling fish for decades with its realistic action and natural profile, and it's a great choice for beginners because it's forgiving and versatile. At 4 and 3/8 inches long and weighing just 3/16 of an ounce, it's lightweight but highly effective. One of the key details to know is its depth range. It typically runs about 3 to 5 feet below the surface when retrieved. That makes it perfect for working the shallows, fishing along shorelines, or casting near structure where predatory fish like to hang out. Because the F-11 is built from balsa wood, it has that classic buoyant action that made Rapala famous. When you cast it out and let it sit, it floats on the surface like a real minnow catching its breath. Start reeling and it dives just below the surface to that 3 to 5 foot strike zone, wobbling side to side with its lifelike roll. This action is so natural that even without any fancy techniques, it attracts bites. Beginners should take advantage of this by starting simple. Cast it out and retrieve it at a steady, moderate pace. You don't need to crank hard or fast, the lure does most of the work for you. Once you've gotten comfortable with a straight retrieve, you can add some variety to trigger more strikes. The twitch and pause technique is one of the easiest and most effective. After casting, give your rod tip a quick snap to make the F-11 dart erratically, then pause to let it float back towards the surface. That pause often drives fish crazy, especially bass and walleye who see it as a struggling or injured bait fish. Many strikes happen right as the lure rises after the pause, so be ready to set the hook. Since the lure floats back up naturally, you won't get snagged easily when fishing over shallow weeds or near submerged logs. The lightweight build of the F-11 does mean it won't cast as far as heavier lures. That's not a drawback if you approach it the right way. Instead of worrying about distance, focus on accuracy. Cast towards docks, weedlines, down trees, and rocky points. Fish love to ambush prey around cover, and the F-11's shallow running depth keeps it in that strike zone where they're waiting. Think about placement over distance. Short, precise casts will usually put more fish in your net in the long run, rather than random ones just flung far out into the distance. As for gear, you don't need anything complicated to fish this lure effectively. A light or medium light spinning rod spooled with 6 to 10 pound monofilament is ideal. Monofloats, which pairs nicely with the F-11's design and keeps its action true. Fluorocarbon, which sinks, can pull the lure down more than intended, and braid can be overly visible in clear water. For beginners, monofilament is simple, reliable, and perfectly matched to this lure's strengths. Timing is another factor that can make or break your day. The Rapala F-11 performs beautifully during early morning or evening hours when fish are active near the surface. Cloudy days can also be prime time since predatory fish often push into shallower water under low light conditions. Because the F-11 works best in that 3 to 5 foot depth range, it's a natural fit for shallow bays, shorelines, or areas just outside weed beds where fish move in to feed. One of the best parts about using the F-11 is that it gives you confidence. For beginners, that's half the battle. You don't need to constantly swap lures or worry about advanced techniques. This lure has been catching fish worldwide for decades. Bass, walleye, trout, and even pike fall for its natural swimming action. If you stick with it, you'll quickly learn how fast fish respond to different retrieves and conditions, and you'll start to trust your instincts. In short, the Rapala Original Floating Minnow F-11 is more than just a lure, it's a teacher. Its shallow running depth in the 3 to 5 foot range makes it easy to work around structures where fish love to hide. Its floating design prevents many hang-ups, and its simple, natural action makes it approachable for any beginner. Cast near cover, keep your retrieve steady with occasional pauses, and let the lure's classic design do what it was built to do. With time and practice, this bait will help you grow as an angler and put plenty of fish on your line along the way. Take care, my friends.